Howdy. This is the Views from the Schott podcast. I'm your host, your one and only host. Today is Sunday, February 8th, 2026. And I wish you a very, very, very happy Super Chicken Wing Day. On today's show, we are live here on YouTube to recap Ohio State's 82-61 loss at the hands of their arch rival, their nemesis, the Michigan Wolverines. Buckeye lose to a very, very good team here today, but yet not the result we wanted, and for several different reasons. So on today's show, we will recap this game. We'll do it completely live. I've got some kind of gut reactions here. I've got some takeaways. I've got some thoughts on Bruce Thornton. I've got some thoughts on Jake Diebler. I've got some thoughts on the program at large because the fan base very unhappy after a loss today. For reasons I understand, for other reasons, maybe not so much, but I will get into a lot of the comments that people have and kind of address those at large today. If you're new here, this is the only Ohio State basketball exclusive podcast that previews and recaps every single game Ohio State plays. And then throughout the offseason, we do the summer guest series where we have players, coaches, media members, others within the program on the show. And of course, we cover the transfer portal really, really hard too. Surprisingly enough, maybe this shows the state of the program. No, but the transfer portal window is when we get the most views and listens here. So subscribe. This is your only Ohio State basketball exclusive hub for the Buckeyes. Also, please like the video on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter right now, I know most people who watch, they're going to watch on Twitter. But if you're watching on Twitter, please just go to YouTube, like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. We're trying to get to 300 subscribers before March Madness. Slow build on YouTube. We got to YouTube a little bit later than we did with the podcast stuff, but hey, we're here anyway, so please get there as well and find the Substack as well. Views from the Schott podcast.substack.com. Rather than me saying it to you, if you're watching live, how about I just send it to you? I'll throw it in the comments here. Get there. You can subscribe for absolutely free. It is your only written hub for Ohio State basketball exclusive content as well. Whole bunch of stuff there. You can join the insider subscriber chat as well. Get some exclusive scoops. I've talked a lot. I've shared a lot of info today actually on some stuff going on. So would recommend you get there. I hold in my hand one sheet of paper. That's it. Normally I come at you with 3, sometimes 4, even 5 sheets of paper. Today it's just one. And today that one sheet of paper, just your stats. It's your official stats from today's loss for Ohio State. Some game totals. It's just a normal box score. The exact same thing the coaches may hold in their hands. I hold in my hand because I don't need a lot of notes for today's show. I don't need to really think hard on what happened today. It's pretty simple. But what I will do is I will first get into key stats that led to the loss for Ohio State, and then I will give my own thoughts here. So thanks for being here today. Let's get into it. The first key stat in this one, look, Ohio State was rattled. Now I'm just going to get into my thoughts, my takeaways, but it is what it is. Ohio State was rattled from start to finish in this game. It didn't really look like it belonged on the same floor as Michigan. It got completely out physical. It got outplayed. It got outmatched. It got outsmarted. In this one, Ohio State did not look good whatsoever throughout all 40 minutes of this game. Yeah, they had some nice runs and spurts here and there for 90 seconds at a time or so. But for the most part in this game, it wasn't a good performance from Ohio State. So the biggest thing that I saw and that led to this was the rebounding battle. I mean, we saw it for the first 2-3 minutes of this game. The announcers talked about it. You could see it on the stat sheet. Michigan got 6 offensive rebounds before Ohio State got their first offensive rebound. And in this one, the Wolverines out-rebound Ohio State 44-31. That's a plus 13 rebounding advantage for Michigan. Look, we know what Michigan is. We know what Adai Mara is. He's 7'4", and I don't know if it's because he's different from Zach Edey in that he's a little skinnier, so the arms look longer, or maybe his arms really are that much longer. He's a very long player, and he's a great rebounder. But as I look at this here, Adai Mara, he had 6 rebounds in this game. It was actually Yaxel Lendeborg and Perez Johnson Jr. who did all the damage for Michigan. We saw Yaxel Lendeborg have 14 rebounds in this game. Perez Johnson Jr. had 12 rebounds in this game for Michigan. Michigan as a whole had 17 offensive rebounds in this game compared to Ohio State's 9. The leading rebounder for Ohio State, 3 players had 6 rebounds. Bruce Thornton was one, Christoph Tilley another, and Devin Royal another. Amari Bynum got absolutely dominated down low in this one. This is a player who plays with good physicality. He's a player who plays with a high motor. But in this one, he got absolutely dominated down low. Did not look tough enough in this one. Christoph Tilley, kind of the same way, where well, we'll get into the shooting later. But all in all, Ohio State looked absolutely outclassed on the glass. It allowed Michigan to get out to an early lead. It allowed them to keep their lead as well. And we saw the Wolverines just destroy Ohio State on the glass for 40 minutes in this one. 17 offensive rebounds in this one. Now you got me curious. I'm going to check to see, is that the most that they've allowed in a game this season? Let's see. Courtesy of College Basketball Analytics, it is the second most offensive rebounds they've allowed in game this season. They beat Rutgers 80-73, and they allowed 18 offensive rebounds. 17 against Michigan is the most that the Buckeyes have allowed in this one. That was huge in this game. Second key stat that led to a loss for Ohio State in this one, they shot 20 of 55 from the field in this contest, did Ohio State. That is 36% from the field. And then in the second half, where things really got off the rails, because Ohio State trails by 10 at halftime, and it didn't feel clean. It didn't feel good. No one was excited about where Ohio State was at halftime, I don't think. I tweeted at halftime the score, as I normally do, and said that was not particularly pleasurable, was the first half. Not knowing that essentially we're going to have a cactus shoved down our throat in the second half as Ohio State fans in this game. And for what it's worth, Ohio State was only outscored by 11 in the second half. It felt way, way worse than that. But Ohio State, 20-55 from the field, 36% in this game. John Mobley Jr. was 1 of 9 from the field. Bruce Thornton was 6 of 16 from the field in this game. Christoph Tilley was 3 of 8. Tayson Chapman, not bad, 2 of 5, but 8 points, 2 of 5 from the field. That's not bad at all. But when you get no help outside of that, off the bench, Gabe Cupps doesn't take a shot. He plays 3 minutes in this game, and Ivan Negavon did not help whatsoever either for Ohio State. So you score 61 points in a game, which, let's find this as well, in terms of points scored for Ohio State this year. That would be the least for Ohio State. And by the way, a note here, Ohio State has now scored its least amount of points and second least amount of points in their 2 games against Michigan this year. Across the entire season, no team has shut down Ohio State the way that Michigan has, their arch rival, by the way. Ohio State only scored 20 paint points in this game. And when you score 20 paint points and you only make 7 3-pointers in a game, makes it pretty much impossible to win. Michigan now responsible for the second and third lowest paint scoring games for Ohio State's offense so far this season. I talked about this in the preview show. I talked about this in the recap the last time Ohio State played Michigan. My question was, is Ohio State going to get better looks from the field in this game than they did in game 1? Because Ohio State defensively, I don't think that was really the issue in the first game for Ohio State, especially early on in that game. It was really the offense, even when they got up to a lead, I think it was 20-12 in that first game. The offense at times really sputtered, didn't look comfortable getting shots from the field. In this one, it looked even worse. I mean, you go 8 of 25 from the field in the second half, 2 of 8 from 3, just absolutely no chance to win a game. Ohio State was completely shut down. Michigan, one of the best teams in the nation. Many would argue the best team in the nation. There's still no excuse for that kind of poor production for Ohio State. Another key stat in this one, John Mobley Jr. scored 4 points for Ohio State. 1 of 9 from the field for John Mobley Jr. Ohio State needs John Mobley Jr. They don't need him to go off for 25 points every game, but it sure would be nice if he did do that for Ohio State. In the previous game against Michigan, he scored 22 points. He led the way for Ohio State. He was the only source of offense, essentially, for Ohio State in that first matchup. But he scored 4 points in this game after scoring 15, 9, 25, 22, 26, and 28 in games previously up to UCLA. That's about a month or so worth of games, a little bit less. I mean, he's been a guy Ohio State's been able to rely on, and he was non-existent in this game. And quite frankly, pretty much everyone was non-existent in this game for Ohio State offensively. So I point out John Mobley Jr. with his 4 points. He makes one shot, doesn't make a single three-pointer. He goes 0 of 3 from the field. What we also saw for the backcourt, Bruce Thornton, 16 points in this game, only shoots 6 of 16, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. He did add 4 assists in this game, so he helped out a little bit there. John Mobley Jr. had 3 assists in this game, but the Ohio State backcourt was not good enough. That backcourt needs to combine for at least 40 points for Ohio State to have a chance to win. Whether it's John Mobley Jr. scoring 24 and Bruce Thornton getting 16, they both get 20, doesn't matter. They need to really shoulder the load for Ohio State's offense. They did not. In this one, you had 20 points combined from those two players. That's half of what you need. Ohio State had no shot to win the game when the guards play like that. And then we move on to Devin Royal. Devin Royal scored 15 points in this game, which is respectable. I'm not going to complain about Devin Royal scoring 15 points in a game. The issue is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of those points came in the final 4 minutes of the game. Devin Royal's free throw that he made with 4 minutes and 4 seconds left to go in the second half brought Ohio State from down 20 to down 19 points. And then he decided to turn it on. It was completely useless. We didn't need Devin Royal. Actually, he scored what? 2, 4, 6, 8. He had 9 points in the final 4 minutes. They were the final 9 points that Ohio State scored in this game. It was all Devin Royal. Not even too little, too late. Doesn't even qualify for that because the game was over at that point. Ohio State already trailing by 20 before Devin Royal starts scoring. He went off in the final 4 minutes, and I guess that's fine, but it was completely useless. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Devin Royal has had some really good moments, some really bad moments this year. Same for John Mobley Jr. But when those guys don't get going early, they just don't go whatsoever. Who got the first shot of the game for Ohio State in this one? Christoph Tilly made the first shot, but John Mobley Jr. looking to shoot early on. John Mobley Jr. is the guy that Ohio State goes to game in and game out to start the game and get scoring. Why? Because they'd love to get a three-pointer for John Mobley Jr.? Yeah, absolutely. Why else? Because I think that coaching staff probably knows that when John Mobley Jr. cannot get going early, he's never going to get going. It's the exact same thing with Devin Royal. I don't need 9 points in the final 4 minutes of the game. 6 points in the first 36 minutes of the game. Completely useless from Devin Royal. It did nothing to help Ohio State in this game. You know what? I don't know. Coaching staff would probably say the same. They'd probably say, we didn't get enough from Bruce Thornton. We didn't get enough from John Mobley Jr. We didn't get enough from Devin Royal. We didn't get enough, quite frankly, from anyone because we barely scored 60 points in this game. So those are a couple key stats. It's just individual performances. No one stepped up for Ohio State in this game. Another key stat. Ohio State allowed 42 paint points to Michigan in this one. Adai Mara, 24 points. He made 2 3-pointers in this game. I'm not sure if he had another point that didn't come from the paint. He didn't attempt a single free throw in this game. He didn't need a free throw to score over 20 points against Ohio State. It was just get the ball, drop step, hit the shot. Get the ball, drop step, hit the shot. I'm 7'4". This defense can't stop me. I'm going to keep shooting. And it would be great if they had a guy like, I don't know, 7'2", Ivan Negavon, who could come in and defend a little bit. He was not able to help Ohio State whatsoever. By the way, the only player with a positive plus-minus in this game was Gabe Cupps, +3. Hey, am I a Gabe Cupps hater? No, I'm not. Many people are, but I mean that's a significant stat. +3 for Ohio State in 3 minutes. I don't know, man. Obviously didn't help. Obviously had no effect on the game, and obviously I'm being sarcastic if you can't tell. But Ohio State, the paint defense was absolutely horrible. Mara got whatever he wanted in this game. They scored 42 points in the paint. That's no way to win a game because you're giving up way too many shots. And when you give up 42 points in the paint and then 10 made 3-pointers, what do you expect? How do you expect to be competitive in this game? There's no shot that you're going to be competitive in this game if you're Ohio State. Michigan overall, they shot 46% from the field, 42% from the three-point line. They were 9 of 18 in the first half, by the way, from the three-point line. You saw Namari Burnett. He hit a couple. Adai Mara, 0-4 coming into the game, 2-3 in this game. Somehow 0-4 in the entire season, then you make 2 3-pointers against Ohio State. Not that it mattered. Obviously, it was not a huge factor. Trey McKinney, LJ Kaysen off the bench, 2-3 in this one. Just The 3-point shooting combined with the paint scoring, you got no shot to win a game, especially against Michigan with that good of a defense. By the way, I'll continue the shtick here. Little tiny baby Roddy Gale, 0 points, 0 of 6 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 foul in 18 minutes. Roddy Gale Jr. left Ohio State because he didn't want to play second fiddle to Bruce Thornton. He didn't want to be left out as the leader. He knew Bruce Thornton's role at Ohio State. He left, went to Michigan, comes off the bench, doesn't do much, but hey, he's 22-1. So I guess he made the right decision. So outside of that, I mean, what do you want to say? Ohio State turned the ball over 12 times. That's not a horrible stat, but Michigan had 20 points off turnovers. Michigan had 14 second chance points. Quite frankly, I would think they would have more. Ohio State had 0 fast break points in this one. Michigan, by the way, 1.24 points per possession. That's not going to get a job done for Ohio State. So stats wise, I mean, Ohio State just got beat consistently. I know some fans, I think I saw some people kind of complaining about officiating, which I complain about officiating too in this game in terms of like they have no idea what's going on. But Michigan was called for 17 fouls in this game. Where'd that number go? 17 fouls. Ohio State called for 13. So big deal. Who cares? So my biggest takeaways from the game, I think that's probably why you're here at this point. I have a couple thoughts, and I'll take this from Bruce Thornton. I've got thoughts on him. I've got thoughts on where the program is going. I got thoughts on Jake Diebler. I got thoughts on what the fan base think. Is the team going to make the NCAA tournament? Let's start with Bruce Thornton, okay? So I have said Bruce Thornton is 101. He's the last of his kind. There will never be another Bruce Thornton in college basketball who starts for 4 years, who's a captain for 4 years, who is a high-level producer for 4 years, and stays at the same program. Because if you have a player like that, they're either one, going to the NBA, or two, they're going from, I don't know, UAB to Michigan, for example, something like that. They're not going to stay at the same program for 4 years. At the current landscape of college basketball, there's no shot it happens. So I don't want this to come off as disrespectful towards Bruce Thornton. I don't want it to come off as me not appreciating what Bruce Thornton has done for this program because he's stuck it out and he's battled hard and he's given his everything to this program. And Ohio State, they have a shot to make the NCAA tournament, but they're teetering on missing the NCAA tournament. They've got to pick up a signature win. They've got to pick up a quad one win. And Northwestern continues to go up into quad one and then down into quad two. Ohio State's going to have to pick up a win that's not Northwestern on the road. That can't be their best win to get in the NCAA tournament. A lot of respect for Bruce Thornton, but this guy, it's another game where he hasn't shown up for Ohio State in the biggest moments. And I said this coming into this game, is that the legacy of Bruce Thornton, I think at this point is, man, he's been super productive for Ohio State, but he has not gotten the job done for the Buckeyes in the biggest games. He's not gotten them to the NCAA tournament. He's not carried them through a Big Ten tournament run to get in the NCAA tournament. He has been unable to carry Ohio State into wins when the Buckeyes need those wins the most. And this was the case again in this game for Bruce Thornton. If you look back to his performance the last time Ohio State played Michigan just this year, he had 10 points. It was the second lowest amount of points that he's had in a game this season. Funny enough, the game after Michigan against Penn State, he scored 9. That's the least he scored in a game this year. But he scores 10 points against Michigan, and he's 3 of 11 from the field. Nowhere close to good enough. Bruce Thornton in this game, he does have 16 points, but he's 2 of 6 from the three-point line. He's 6 of 16 from the field. Not efficient whatsoever. And he had a stretch in both the first half and the second half where he just started to take over for Ohio State. Not close to enough. And I've said this over and over. At what point does Bruce Thornton just decide, you know what? I'm not missing the NCAA tournament. I'm not losing this game to Michigan. And quite frankly, I may take a bunch of shots in this game, and I might not make them all, but I'm going to go down guns a-blazing. And 16 shots is fine. But the shots came in such spurts that, again, you're waiting for Bruce Thornton to just get aggressive and go take over a basketball game against a really good team. And yet again, we waited for it, and it didn't happen. And you have the outlier, I guess, kind of the Illinois game this year where he scored 24 points in the first half. He was crazy. Heat check, made it. Heat check, made it. I mean, he started the game, 5 of 5 from the three-point line, something crazy like that. And there are those games, but there's also the Michigan games so far this year. There's also North Carolina this year. There's been games where Ohio State's lost close, And you just wonder, man, if Bruce Thornton, if he's so good getting in the paint and scoring, and if he can catch and shoot from three and make those shots, why does he not get more aggressive? Why do you have to wait for the game to essentially get out of hand before you get something from Bruce Thornton? At some point, the guy has just got to say, I'm taking over from start to finish. I'm not going to see if John Mobley Jr. is in a good mood today. I'm not going to see if Devin Royal's motor is running hot today. I'm just going to do it myself. And quite frankly, we haven't seen it from him so far this year. We haven't really seen it in previous years from Bruce Thornton. It's been a frustration, a major frustration, I know, the fan base. And yet again in this game, we see Bruce Thornton not step up and take over. At some point, I think he needs to realize, I think Ohio State needs to realize, if this team wants to go to the NCAA tournament this year, Bruce Thornton needs to carry them there. It can't be John Mobley Jr. because one game he'll have 26 and the next game he has 4. Can't be Devin Royal because he'll give you 15 points every game, but 9 of them in this one didn't matter. And defensively, suspect, is that the word? You could probably be a little more aggressive than saying suspect. Christoph Tilly scores 10 points in this game. Who are you going to go to? Other than the guy who's been here for 4 freaking years, who has been in and out of this of the situation of being on the bubble and off the bubble and not being competitive and just waiting for my chance to get the NCAA tournament if I'm Bruce Thornton. And he hasn't been able to do it. Just step up and do it, Bruce. That would be my message. He didn't listen to the show. He accidentally followed me on Twitter once. Unfollowed me about a week ago or 2. You should follow me on Instagram, by the way. So that's my first takeaway. Bruce Thornton's got to he's got to step up and carry this team to the NCAA tournament. That's what it has to be. Another takeaway from this one. Look, Ohio State was not supposed to win this game. Okay, I don't think anyone really came in expecting Ohio State to win. You were hopeful, and I saw comments before the game saying, you know what, let's clown around, let's win this game. Let's beat Michigan. Let's beat the number 1, number 2 team in the nation, depending on where you look. Let's beat them. But I don't think anyone came in this game expecting to win. I didn't come into this game expecting Ohio State to win. Not by a long shot. But that's not what bothers me. A 21-point loss to the number 2 team in the nation, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that it's a rival. It doesn't bother me that it was at home. None of that bothers me. What bothers me from this game is that Ohio State was rattled for 40 minutes, and the lack of give a crap in this game was evident. It was evident from John Mobley Jr. It was evident from Devin Royal. Those were the 2 main suspects. This was a team that just didn't show that they cared to win this game. And you can look at the stats. You can look at how Ohio State got beat in just about every single area of the game. But when you turn this game on and you watch it, and I look back at the Maryland game, when Tyson Chapman got teed up, after his technical foul, I came on the show and I said, hey, I like that from Tyson Chapman because we have not seen an Ohio State player give a crap the way that Tyson Chapman did when he got shoved in a long time. You go back and you look at your Kyle Youngs of the world or whoever else. I don't care. You can think of any number of Ohio State players who have gave a crap. Zed Key gave a crap when he played at Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't had that guy probably since Zed Key. And even Zed Key is not a guy who I think a lot of fans would say, man, he had that dog in him. Who has that dog in him at Ohio State right now? Bruce Thornton, I think he desperately wants to win. I think he's a good leader within that locker room. I don't think he has that right now because of sometimes the passivity that he has when he plays for Ohio State. John Mobley Jr., Devin Royal, even to a worse extent, man, when they're not ready to go, when things aren't going their way, it's over for them. Just forget about it. And at some point, it's like, well, Tyson Chapman, show us what you can do. Colin White, I think you give a crap. I mean, give him some minutes. Give him some run, I guess, at this point. If Devin Royal's not going to, if you're not going to see consistent effort from Devin Royal, you got to find someone else to get in there, even if there's a huge drop-off in talent. I'm not arguing that Colin White would be a better talent upgrade over Devin Royal, but the lack of give a crap from this team playing an arch rival, playing at home, playing in front of your own fans, the number 2 team in the nation, it's embarrassing. That was the pathetic part for me, where this team wasn't expected to win. I don't care if you lose 82-61, and fans can at least look at that performance and say, well, it felt like they tried. It felt like they gave a good effort. It felt like they gave it their all out there. Did you see that from Devin Royal today? No shot. You see that from John Mobley Jr. today with the stupid offensive foul on both of them? John Mobley Jr. just throwing someone because Michigan's switching screens and he can't get open. Devin Royals down in the paint. He gives Roddy Gale the elbow. Come on. It's lazy. It's selfish. It's dumb. Does not give you a chance to win. The lack of give a crap in this game from Ohio State was pathetic. And that's what bothers me in the game. It's embarrassing to lose. It's embarrassing to be the fan base that roots for a team that, quite frankly, has been horrible over the past 4 years compared to your expectations for the program. I mean, you look at what happened today. You look at the passivity. You look at no one really rallying around anyone whatsoever. I think the fan base probably gave more of a crap today than the team. And I think that's a huge problem. Thoughts on Jake Diebler? Look, I don't think this is a game to complain about Jake Diebler, okay? I know fans are very unhappy about Jake Diebler. I know losses like these really, really emphasize that, and fans can have a heyday on Jake Diebler. We get our likes on Twitter and whatever, blah, blah. But I don't think this is a game to complain about Jake Diebler. I think this is a game more so to complain about Ross Bjork. I don't believe that Ross Bjork really gives a crap about this program. I don't think that he really cares about what Ohio State basketball is. I think that what he generally really wants about Ohio State basketball is for them to be competitive enough to where he doesn't have to worry about it. Essentially, he would like to be able to Ohio State to be, and I can say this because if you listen to the show, you know what. The puppy, he would like Ohio State basketball to be the puppy that he can shut in the playpen and give him something to chew on, maybe filled with Greek yogurt, pumpkin puree, blueberries, doesn't matter. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about what he's putting inside the Kong, as long as it's something that's going to keep that puppy occupied so he can sit down for 25 minutes and throw something on the TV or scroll on his phone, or whatever the case may be, and just not have to pay attention to the dog. That's what he wants this Ohio State basketball program to be. In my humble opinion, I think that's what he wants. I don't think he cares. And I think that because of that, Ohio State doesn't have the resources to compete with the Michigan roster. Look, if Ohio State had the Michigan money, Ohio State probably wins this game. Ohio State, you know what? Ohio State may have Perez Johnson Jr. on the roster instead of Michigan having him. Ohio State may have fill in the blank of any number of players that Ohio State lost out on throughout the portal window, whatever, whoever you want to grab. I don't care. Maybe they have a Caleb Wilson on the team. Maybe they have a Darren Peterson on the team, and you can say what you will about him. But my point is, when you don't give a crap about the program, and when you don't allow the program to have the resources that it probably deserves at this point to get back on its feet, this is the roster that you get. This is the roster that you get. You've got a power forward in Brandon Knoll who gets hurt and didn't produce much at Ohio State. I get Ohio State took a leap on Brandon Knoll, and they thought he could be good. And it didn't work out. But you know what? Now you got to look to Amari Bynum, and who's your backup for behind that? You had to get someone who had to get a temporary restraining order from the NCAA onto your roster. That was your next best option, and he can't play today. So you got no depth there. At the starting three, you go with Devin Royal. You think he can make the transition? Shocker. It's gone okay. It's gone okay. No better, no worse. It's gone okay. Who's going to back him up? Colin White? Is that who you want as your backup small forward? Matthew Grudjicic, by the way, was not with the team today. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to trust the sophomore now who has had no playing time at Ohio State, or the freshman who comes in overseas at the three? Go after Gabe Cupps. I know Ohio State like Gabe Cupps, and I get that. But if you had higher resources, do you give Gabe Cupps a look? Or do you at least have the money to say, hey, Gabe, you can be our point guard 3 this year. That's fine. But we're going to go find a real point guard 2. Maybe, I don't know, an Elliot Cadeau, for example. Not that Ohio State went after him, but you get my point. If Ohio State basketball had the resources that Michigan has right now, I think this team's a lot more competitive. But that's not where it is. So I know there's a lot of anger directed at Jake Diebler right now. At some point, you just have to say, are we handcuffing ourselves? Is the athletics director of our program handcuffing our team right now? Is it handcuffing our program? Are we not able to go get the guys that we can? Because quite frankly, I don't know how much I can say on this. Anthony Thompson coming to Ohio State as a freshman, no thanks to the Ohio State University. That's as specific as I'd like to be. You can't thank Ross Bjork for that, okay? So Ohio State has to make moves, kind of playing with one hand behind their back. Doesn't really work that way, does it? You gonna get good results? Are you gonna get a better roster than Michigan? No, you're not. So I don't think the roster is good enough to compete at this point. Matt Sylvester came on the show and he said that in January. So far, the roster has not been good enough to compete with Michigan. But that's not what I care about. What I care about at this point is Ohio State just simply getting back to the NCAA tournament. And do we think Ohio State can get back to the NCAA tournament? This game doesn't change my opinion. I think absolutely Ohio State can. They've got plenty of opportunities coming up down the stretch here to pick up 1-2 marquee wins and play their way into the NCAA tournament. They're on the outside looking in right now simply because they don't have that marquee win. But they played Maryland and they crushed them. And they played Penn State and they won that game. They're not losing the games that they can't afford to lose at this point. So they've got to pick up some of the games that they need to keep winning the games that they need to win and then win a game against Virginia or Michigan State or Iowa or Indiana. Doesn't matter. Got to pick up some kind of marquee win and a quad one win. That would be huge for Ohio State. So their chances of going to the NCAA tournament now, at this point, it doesn't change. Like this loss, Ohio State wasn't supposed to win. So their chances in this game doesn't change. They got crushed by Michigan. Michigan has crushed everyone this year for the most part, other than Ohio State when they played at Ann Arbor, funny enough. So the outcome, the result of this game, Ohio State getting crushed, I didn't expect much better from Ohio State, quite honestly. So they don't go to the NCAA tournament. If they don't, it's not going to be because they lost to Michigan. It will be because they can't stack wins down the stretch here because they've had their chances. We'll see if they can do it. So I think Ohio State absolutely, even after this game, can make the NCAA tournament. They're going to have to pick up some wins here down the stretch. We will continue to cover Ohio State basketball every game. Preview, recap, every single game, no matter what. Using the Schott podcast, we'll do it. Please like the video if you're watching on YouTube right now. Like the tweet if you're watching on Twitter. Please subscribe on YouTube. Would love to get to 300 subs before March Madness. And I think that we can do it, especially with a show like this with a lot of people watching. So please subscribe on YouTube. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll link you to YouTube because some people, myself included, would hear that and say, nah, I don't really feel like it. There's the link, guy. Just do it. Just subscribe. Please, just do it. Need the help. Need the help. So Ohio State is off here for a couple of days before they get back with a home game against USC, and then obviously the Virginia Valentine's game. We'll be back to preview Ohio State against USC. If you're watching live, I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. I have some things to prepare, and then I will enjoy the Super Bowl as well. I don't know who you're rooting for. Frankly, I don't even know who I'm rooting for at this point. Hopefully it's a good game, and then we'll get back into having a great week. So if you're watching live, hope you enjoy this Super Bowl. I'm sure you'll be watching it if you're watching this show. If not, if you're listening on podcast, I hope you enjoyed watching the Super Bowl, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for being here today. Again, please subscribe. Please follow wherever you get your podcast. Give a 5-star review as well. Appreciate you being here today. Ohio State basketball will be back at some point. It will be back. Just maybe not as soon as we want. Until next time, I shut up. Before you shut me off, thanks for watching or listening today, and go Bucks.